Good morning. It's should I make sure all this stuff is working? Where is my sound at? Okay. Okay. Good morning. It's April 28th. It's 3 minutes before the open. As always, trading the Nasdaq. This is a top step combine. This is step 2. Just kind of sharing my experience as I go through the combine and what it's been like for me. I'm using just scalping 3 contracts, keeping it simple. For those who are clicking on the video later and not watching it live, feel free to skip towards the end of the video. This will probably be about an hour to 2 hours long. But skip towards the end. I'll recap everything at the end. Then yeah. Wasn't able to trade yesterday. I had stuff to do, so I couldn't get online to stream. And I'm trying not to trade. Yesterday was actually a really good day. It would have been really easy to short in so many places yesterday. My mic and my mouse are all tangled up here. Anyway, yesterday would have been a very nice day to trade. It would have been very easy to short. All throughout these, we're at VWAP when it finally rejected. It formed a nice downtrend. Would have been very shortable there. It pulled back to the -2 for a sec. It could have shorted there as well. So anyway, wish I was able to trade yesterday. Wasn't. It's all good. Get in here today. Today is FOMC day, so we got to make sure that we're not in anything. That's one of the rules with Top Step is you can't trade a minute before the FOMC or any of the major market events. So FOMC, if there's any GDP releases, unemployment, that kind of thing, can't trade those. Speaking of which, I can't remember if the FOMC is at 1 or 1:30. It's at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So just be aware of that. I doubt I'll still be trading at 1 o'clock anyway. Just in case. Hey Google, set alarm for 12:50 p.m.
Done. Your alarm set for 12:50 p.m.
Market's just open. Nice little push up to VWAP and a instant rejection of it. We'll see if the markets want to sell off some more today. I'm going to be patient before I jump into anything this morning. Especially again looking at the VWAP here. So that's something I'm always keeping an eye on is the VWAP. So this basically just to explain my chart. These are VWAP bands. And so each one of these is a standard deviation from VWAP. The middle line in yellow is VWAP, and then the purple is 1 deviation, the blues are 2 deviations, and the red are 3 deviations. So basically, I just keep an eye on that. Seeing that the deviation between VWAP is only 20 points on the Nasdaq, I know that these levels are very easy to break. So I'm going to wait for them to expand a bit more and try to get in on whatever direction that it looks like it's expanding. So if it breaks short here, it may be tempting to, rather than just take the short, I'll probably wait for it to push down and then pull back up to the volume node or maybe back to the -1 and then look to short off of the retest. And then again, you never know. Sometimes it breaks through and just shoots down. If it shoots down, I may just FOMO in and just have a really tight stop. Let's expand my ES chart here. See what the ES is doing. ES is also selling off. Well, at least trying to anyway. It's still in a range, but we'll see. Okay, there goes the break. Lots of sellers, lots of momentum to the downside here. I want to see this sustain the push down, and then I'll try to take a stab short for the breakout. Not quite wanting to break right then and there. Let's see if it does this time. Keeping an eye on the cumulative delta here. Seeing some buyers, but not much. Honestly, looking very bearish still. We'll give it a shot. We're going to follow very tight and very close. Keep it here for a sec. So at least give it something. Okay, we'll move it to $100. If it continues, it continues. If not, then you know it doesn't. It's all good. Okay, stopped out very quickly on that one. Of course, would have liked it for it to continue, but when I'm trading these breakout style trades, I'm not gonna leave anything on the table basically. This thing could very well shoot and run down, and then I'll wish I held on to it, but that's all right. Again, what I'm really looking for is for it to pull back and test this level and then reject a second time. If I can see that, then I'm more willing to, you know, let my stop be a good distance away under wherever the swing is, and then give it a chance to actually run down rather than try to jump in early on the breakout. Especially with 3 contracts, right? With 3 contracts, like I just can't afford to risk much. I don't have much space. Looking very bearish again this morning. ES is trying to get to below its pre-market lows. I would like to see some sort of push on the NAS here. See if I can get above the previous range bar. Wouldn't mind seeing that at all. See if we can get any upward push here, or if sellers are just gonna kill it. Okay. No, just something to note. This little push up on the NAS came at the same time that the ES is bouncing off the 200 EMA. Let's look at the Nasdaq's time charts. Let's go to the 15. Load. EMA is way above on the 15. Yeah, we're below the EMA, so we'll look short. Nice little push up to the upside here. If I can see it starting to reject anything on the Nasdaq, like if it can reject the -1 or maybe this volume node would be great. If it can reject that, I will take a short at any of those levels, or even here, to be honest. Would still like to see a bit more of an upward push though. Seeing some sellers coming through on the delta. Need to see more before we go short. I just need a bit more confirmation. Nope. See, seeing the ES, it's struggling at this pivot level. It's kind of like stuck between this pivot level and the 200 EMA. We'll see what it wants to do here on the ES in a little bit. Okay. Let's look at our data box. A lot of volume in these bars here. Going short. Keeping it really tight. Okay, moving my stop down. I will just follow the previous bar, probably until I get stopped out, wherever that is. I would like to see it continue to shoot down, but if not, then so be it. Okay, we're stopped out on that trade. We're up 540. Two nice little quick scalps there. Really would have not liked if that one had shot down, of course, and got down to this third deviation. You know, if I could have locked my stop in at like 1,000 on that trade, then I would have let the thing sit. You know, I would have let it sit at 1,000 until and just let this thing run as long as possible. See if we can have a massive day. But it's all good. We'll just be patient. I'm gonna sit and watch for a bit here until I see something very obvious. If this pulls back and forms a nice little lower high, and then I see sellers coming in on the delta, I'll take it short. But other than something very ideal and very perfect happening now, I'm not gonna take a short right away. Generally, after one trade, like this is a complete move, right? You have a big sell-off, a leg up, leg down. So like, I don't know. I think the people say the market moves in like 2 legs. I see a leg down, leg up, leg down, and now it's coming back. I generally try not to jump in on anything that I'm personally perceiving as a second leg. I kind of don't like using that example or that analogy because I feel like no matter where, if you're looking at the market, you can always say there's 2 legs really anywhere. But at least from the open, I saw the sell-off. the retrace, the test, the fail, came down, made a low, and now it's coming back up. So now that it's coming back up, I'm not wanting to take this anymore, especially now that it's broken above this, the -1. So that's showing indecisiveness to me. That's showing, maybe there's a large buyer somewhere or somebody's seeing something and buying this up. So I'm not going to want to short this anytime soon until I see an actual strong established downtrend. Again, for me, the key thing is I know that I consider myself to actually be quite bad at trading. Um, so I try very hard to only trade days that are easy, and it's easier to make money when the market is really trending, right? Uh, so if I see anything going sideways, I'm trying really hard to just sit on my hands and not participate, because it literally anytime it's going sideways, I'm getting wrecked. Even on trend days, I'll still lose money because of impatience and all that sometimes. So I know what my weaknesses are, and I try to compensate for those things basically. Gonna chill here. I think the only time I would look to take a short again is probably a test of VWAP. If it hits VWAP and rejects and starts coming down, I'll take a short. Of course, it's gonna be with a really tight stop. Uh, as far as longs, the only way I'm taking a long is if this pushes above VWAP and retraces and starts going up. So if I'm taking a long, it's probably going to be a really long time before I take any sort of long like that. Even if this was to come down, form a higher low, and then start pushing back up, I still won't take it until we're on the other side of VWAP. And this is showing, more of a trend. Because otherwise, on the longer time frames, so let me take a step back there, right? So if this was to form a higher low and start pushing up on the short time frame, this would look like an uptrend, or like the beginning of an uptrend, or like it's starting. I don't want to get in at the beginning, as much as that would be nice to get in at the start and ride it all the way up. I'm looking for the trend to already be established. I want everybody else who's trading to see this uptrend, and for everybody to kind of be in agreement. Okay, we're going long, and then I'll participate. So really, I'm trying to follow rather than, predict and jump in and do any of that kind of stuff. Nice push up here. Gotten solidly above the -1. We'll see if we can rotate to VWAP here. So another thing to note is, let me slide this over. This volume histogram that I have here, you'll see these nodes, and the market tends to want to bounce between like areas of low volume, right? So it tends to want to, I almost treat these like magnets. When the market is between them, it tends to like be drawn to these nodes, but then once it reaches it's almost like it, I guess, reverses polarity and tries to reject. Just kind of what I've noticed. We'll see if it happens here. Again, if I see a VWAP bounce here, this is on volume as well as VWAP, then I'll take a short there. But that short's going to be with a very, very tight stop. Let's put a sell stop order in here. Put this right on the other side of VWAP. What I don't want on VWAP bounces is for it to be indecisive. I want the market to either shoot up above VWAP so that my stop in, so I don't stop buy, or I want to just reject, just break the trend and shoot down and go through my stop and put me in profit right away. The only thing I don't want to see happen is for it to meander around here and, be really slow and do whatever. Again, I think of any indicator of anything that's looked at on VWAP, I think VWAP is probably the most manipulated thing of any indicator. I'm gonna cancel this. The delta looks a little too strong. It's pushed a little bit past VWAP and is not showing momentum to the downside. Not the way I liked. On top of that, the fact that the ES is actually pushing as well. We'll see if it still wants to reject and, give that VWAP bounce play, but what I'm seeing at the moment is kind of invalidating the VWAP bounce. So not going to take this one. Would have liked to, but, can only take what the market gives, right? Okay. So now it's a whole new game. Yeah. Nasdaq is basically getting back to zero, right? It's back at its open. So now it's anybody's ball game. Do buyers want to push this up and get bullish and go long on the day, or are we pessimistic and trying to go short? I'm going to be extremely patient in this situation because, this thing could rocket off and go back to 14K. We can start getting back to 14K. And if we get to 14K and hold above it, I think it's going to try for, the 14,130 level again that we've been seeing on the past couple of days every time we've gotten above 14,000. If that doesn't happen, then Nasdaq could easily run back and rotate to its lows and try to test lows. Looking at the ES, like you've seen, it's been rotating back and forth on the 15-minute chart. Nasdaq could do the exact same thing. So just going to exercise caution here. We're already up 540 very quickly on the day. Not really trying to give anything back. If anything, let's make a little bit more. But, just going to be cautious, basically. Delta looking strong. Buyers definitely in control at the moment. We'll see if they can maintain that and have some follow up. It still kind of bugs me that I couldn't get scale trading to work. I don't know what it is, but I've in off time, right? Not on stream. I'm not gonna stream like when I'm back testing, but um, I've gone through and tried to use all sorts of strategies and all sorts of indicators and mixes of those things to find ways to scale into trades, and it's just not like I just can't get it to work. Not with any sort of consistency, anyway. I've even tried trading the exact same way that I would normally trade, and basically, if I'm just wrong, rather than getting out right away, I just add. But that definitely doesn't work. So I may abandon the scale trading. That's actually why I started this whole series, was because I wanted to. So at Top Step, my problem is not that I can't get funded; it's that I can't stay funded for very long. And so to solve this problem, I was thinking, let me try and change up the way I take, or the way I'm adding to my trades, right? So rather than buy with 3 contracts right at the beginning, because a lot of people especially under top steps parameters. They're going to say that, you know, trading 3 contracts is kind of like YOLOing your account every day, which in a sense I kind of am. Um, but with that being said, so like to account for that or adjust for that, I tried starting with 1 contract and then adding a second and third later on if things were going against me. But I was finding that it just doesn't fit my style, and as much as I want it to work, I just can't get it to work. Anyway, market's still pushing up. We'll see if ES can get above this range that it's established for itself here. I didn't even bother drawing opening range today. Now that I think about it, we're right at about the opening range. Nope, box. Let's go find 845. The opening range is about there. And then the opening range bottom is very obvious. My goodness. I hate the way like the drawings on this thing work. So it's a little tricky or finicky. Okay. Seeing where opening range is at, actually, if this can push a little further up and maybe pull back to the opening range, I would take an entry there. Right now, if it was to start selling off, I don't think I would take an entry until it got towards VWAP and made a VWAP bounce. I think this opening range high is weak, to be honest. Usually the opening range gets respected a lot more when it... Oh wait, it actually did open here. This is 830. Oh, never mind. This is a solid opening range then. Okay, it opened at 830 here, and it actually got held up here for a bit. So this opening range high is actually quite strong. So I think I will take a long off of it if it comes back into this area. We'll see if it does though. Buyers are looking aggressive here. You know, this last 15 minutes they've launched this thing, what, 70 points almost. This is another, just to kind of, I don't know, backstory. Something that I used to always like to take were, so I would draw trend lines. Excuse my charts here. My charts may get a little busy with all this stuff. But I would draw a trend line like this, right? And then I would come underneath and, you know, draw just whatever, draw a trend line. So I'm showing that basically there's a downward channel. When I would see these downward channels break, I would long it on the break. I used to do that all the time. But I was finding that it was almost 50-50 that it would be like a false break and come back down. This one would have worked out amazingly though. Because, you know, this is that classic push that I'm looking for where the bars just stack and I can just, you know, chase and chase and chase and chase. And no matter how close my stop gets, it never gets stopped out because it never actually retraces the bar. And it's done that now for 80 points. You can imagine 80 points on 3 contracts. but we're gonna wait. We're gonna be patient and wait for that pullback. The pullback will come eventually. I'm not so much worried about not getting a pullback. I'm more worried about entering on a pullback and then it doesn't continue upwards. That's really what my fear is, because we've seen a big sell-off, a reject, and a pushback upwards. Let's go look at our time charts to see where it's really trending. Yeah, so like looking at a 30-minute chart, that's why I say it's always important to look at time charts or have them as a reference. I think trading based off of time, I think that in and of itself is a little bit flawed and kind of bad, but because other people are looking at time charts so heavily, like obviously, a time charts are way more utilized than range or tick or Heiken Ash or anything. But anyway, because of that, it's important to know where these levels are. So like this is literally a pivot point. The Nasdaq basically ticked just under the pivot point and pulled off of it. We'll see if it can push and try to get through, but I wouldn't consider the market actually bullish until it gets above. I honestly want to say above this whole range. I want to say like probably about 14,000 and to hold 14,000 area before it's truly, like pushing. Even at 14,000, I would still say this thing could reject and come down. But we'll see. Certainly, on these trades with it pushing like this, I'm not going to try and go short as much as I still think on the long time frames. Well, on the really, really long time frames, right, it's a bull market. But at least on the 30-minute chart right now, I would say it's bearish. Also part of why I don't like time-based charts, because you just keep extending the time frame and whether you're long or short will change. It's hard to get confluence on a day chart, a 4-hour chart, a 1-hour chart, a 30-minute. It's hard to get all those charts to have confluence. And when you're day trading, does the actual day chart really matter? Answer is yes, but also no. So I don't know. I think time charts are inherently flawed. That's just my opinion, though. A lot of people will tell me I'm crazy and dumb for saying that. ES pushing, Nasdaq pushing as well. I'm going to be honest, I'm glad I'm up on the day already. Otherwise, I would be feeling bad that, I haven't taken any trades and I'm watching this go up and up and up without me. I think when you're up, it makes it a lot easier to sit and watch and be like, hey, I'm just going to trade the rest of the day. Tongue-tied. I'm going to trade the rest of the day just trying not to give back what I've made rather than being in that mindset of I need to make something, I need to take a trade. Because then it makes you get eager and jump into bad spots. For those jumping in, this is a top step combine. This is step 2, trading the Nasdaq. Let's say, you know only what you know and don't know what you don't know. I would just keep an open mind with time charts. Yeah, agreed. For sure, man. As far as those time charts, I look at them from a perspective of how are other people viewing these. What's the likelihood that someone is looking at this 15-minute chart and seeing this engulfing and they're going to rip it? And then I use it that way and try and guess it like, okay, if they're seeing that, then they'll probably want to do this. So let me try and see if I can find something on my range chart that fits that. Yeah, agreed. Okay, ES selling off a bit here. Nasdaq following suit. I'm not sure if the ES is leading Nasdaq today or if the Nasdaq is leading ES. They seem to be moving, you know, simultaneous. It doesn't seem like one is leading the other. They're both kind of just moving the same. Usually the ES leads the Nasdaq though. Would love to see it get to this opening range high. Can buy off of there, set a stop underneath the VWAP. Yeah, I'm starting to feel that sense of boredom, and I think I always equate, you know, when I have that sense of, oh, this is kind of boring to look at, as that's good. Usually when everything's all exciting is because I'm getting destroyed and I'm I'm stressed. But for me, what comes after boredom is impatience. So I gotta, you know, monitor that. So I'm kind of saying it out loud. The other thing too is with the FOMC being today, I really don't want to try too much, honestly. I know the FOMC is a lot of times very inconsequential. It happens and then the market doesn't react at all, but man, when it does, it really, really does. Man, my IRA is getting destroyed lately. This has been a bad week or two for my IRA. In the IRA, I'm dumb. So basically, I just YOLO'd Tesla. Um, the good thing is I started YOLOing Tesla from March of last year when it was at like 300, 300, 400 when I started buying it. And I kept buying it all the way through till it got through the thousands, to the low thousands. And then I was just holding. But I had 100% of my IRA in Tesla at one point. And, you know, things were great. And Elon Musk sent out a tweet saying Tesla's too high, IMO, at one point. That was a real eye opener. I ended up buying more. That was actually part of the problem. Was my thought process was, I think Tesla's gonna be up. There's so many memes about it, and so for me, like my mentality kind of with long term investing is memes are life, which they're not, but it's been working. So I YOLO'd Tesla just because of the meme. It worked, so I kept YOLOing it, and it kept working. But now it's starting to hurt a little bit. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, no, because you know after that 5-to-1 split, and then it pushed, I think to what it's at 700 right now. It's still a huge profit, but I don't know. I should probably diversify. Right now, I'm only holding Tesla, and then when Coinbase IPO'd, I went and bought some Coinbase again because memes. So that's how I invest. Basically, I look at the biggest memes and I invest. I did buy GameStop. That wasn't a very good experience. I got in on GameStop when it was at like 200. Probably the first time I think it was at just under 200, and bought it, pushed up to like 3 something, and bought a little more, pushed up, and then I sold some. I sold basically what I had initially invested. So I recouped a lot of profits there. And then as was coming down, I mean, it just dropped so fast. Before I knew, the next time I checked, it was at like $100. And so all those profits that I had made were gone. So basically, put it this way: I bought some. It kept going up. I bought more. It kept going up. So then I sold enough to recoup my initial investment, minus like a grand, and then it came down, and I ended up losing. So I ended up losing like 2K, which is not the worst thing, but still dumb. And then I decided I'll never touch GME again. Looking at the Nasdaq, I'm trying to debate whether I would want to buy if this was to start going horizontal here. It is forming a little bit of a shelf and like a bull trend here. At the +1, if it was to touch that, I may consider buying, just depending on how the delta looks. I think my stop would have to be very tight if I bought there. I think the next comfortable entry for me would be, again, the opening range high or VWAP. I would like to see more of an extended pullback rather than, it goes up, goes sideways, and I buy when it's going sideways. We'll see how it all shakes out. Just going to be patient. Again, my mentality on the day is I'm already up, so I'm not going to unnecessarily risk anything. Man, it'd be nice to have a fast forward button. My favorite thing about replays is being able to put it on 4 times speed and trade, the whole 3 hour time frame, 2 or 3 hour time frame that I like in the morning. Trade the whole morning session in like 45 minutes. The only thing I wish is that so on Top Step through TS Trader, you can only go back 5 days. I wish I could go back further because almost always I remember what has happened in the previous 5 days. So like yesterday, because I didn't trade, I didn't see the market. So at least that day, I was able to do a replay, and it was an honest replay, right? Like I didn't know what happened on the day. Most of the time when I'm doing replays, I already know what has happened in the market. So not ideal for like practicing. If I could go back like 2 months, then I may not have, I don't think I have any idea of how the market was doing 2 months ago. Looking to potentially enter here. We'll see what it can do on the delta. A long off the +1 is not bad at all. Debating if I should still long off of the +1 here. It's not really giving me the signs of strength that I would like, right? I think I have to take the +1 completely off the table. Maybe. If it gets any lower than this, yeah. Because then again, if it starts pushing down from here, then we'll be solidly under this volume node. And again, you know, the market tends to rotate between these areas of low volume. So like, if it starts shooting down and doesn't catch a bid anywhere, it's just going to continue to shoot down until it gets to VWAP and volume. Because people have not been participating at these prices. So there's not any supports or resistance here, right? Just kind of a fun little tip. However, what you'll see happen sometimes is the market will like kind of grind through this